This week on the podcast, it's just us boys. Mendacii tells us all about his time with the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak demo. I give my thoughts on They Are Here, a demo on Steam, and we got a little bit of news for the Sony customers out there. All of that and more in this week's episode of the podcast. Roll the intro. I just want to point out, when I rolled the intro, I forgot to turn my fan off in my office here. It was loud and kind of was going to produce a lot of white noise. I just want to point out that I was able to get up, turn it off, and get back here before the intro stopped.
You're a god amongst men, dude.
Yeah, fucking like the Flash over here. Anyways, hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I'm your host, Danie K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite. Green, how are you doing today?
I am stuck in an existential crisis, my guy. Stuck in existential crisis. I have been looking at flight sticks to play Star Citizen, a game that's not even in beta yet. I can't afford it. I'm a broke little bitch, and but I want it. I want it.
What kind of crisis are you in again?
An existential.
Existential.
Fuck you. How about that? I'm in a fuck you crisis. How about that? What's up?
It's exponentially getting worse.
Exponentially. Existential. Fuck you.
There you go.
I said it. I worked it.
Hey!
I worked it in. My brain super smooth, okay? Leave me alone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm not as smart as you. I'll make sure to when I enter in my resignation letter from NTN, it'll be double spaced and perfectly punctuated and grammatically correct, okay? I'm sorry. I apologize.
I want it in MLA format and double space behind every period. Anyways, we're also joined by the spooky and the ookly Mendacii. Mendacii, how are you doing today?
Kind of coming to mind that because I don't know how to do any of that because I left college before learning any sort of critical functions as an adult human. I guess I'm just stuck on NTN for life because I'll never be able to type my resignation letter up, as is usually seen week to week in our podcast notes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a problem that is exponentially growing. And existentially, ooh, it's not good. But yeah, you know what? Everything else, just fine.
I think I said it right the first time, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I said existential.
You know what? We're a podcast, so we could listen to that.
Back.
You know,
I will. Tell me I'm wrong in the YouTube content
for tens of people.
Yes.
Make sure you go to the comments on YouTube and tell me I was wrong. But at me too, because I'm pretty sure I said it right the first time.
Yeah. Green, just before we move on, we have lost your cam for whatever reason.
He went ghost.
What? Because
we blamed on him.
It's showing me in Discord. I don't what? Hold
just
on.
leave and come back.
I did.
Hey, there.
Better?
It's back.
That's weird.
Hey,
that was totally
pretty
clearly a Discord issue.
Yes, very cool.
Don't call me pretty.
Oh.
I've had so many people call me handsome and pretty lately, and it's really messing with my self-image right now because I'm not, and people lie.
How about delicious? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and listening to the show. If you miss any part of the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you want to join us live, you can do that every Tuesday on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's twitch.tv/DanieK. If you guys want to be a part of the show, you can answer the question of the week this week, which I got some groans from the question of the week this week, but it's just going to be, fill in the blank here. They're at 10, but Green, they're at 10, but
I'm not even doing this. No, thank you. Hard pass.
You gotta participate.
They're at 10, but Danie picks the worst trends.
Oh,
how about that?
Man, I'm trying to stay topical. I'm trying to play the social media game here, and you gotta shoot me down. Damn.
I'm not sorry. I think this is probably one of the worst Twitter trends out right now. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Because if you're saying that they're a 10 and
Then
then
there's
adding a
nothing wrong.
clause of a but, then clearly they are not a 10. That's like saying, uh, that guy over there is a really nice guy, but he just stabbed me in the chest with a knife and I'm
Hmm.
dying.
But
Like
he
that.
did it nicely.
No, because he just stabbed you in the fucking chest. It's like I have a really nice person knocking on my door, who says he's here to help me, but he's
Hmm.
actually a tax collector with a pair of handcuffs ready to arrest me. You know,
Debt
that kind of shit.
consolidation.
You know, shit like that. Like it's like no, they're not. No, that's not how that works.
Okay.
Is that how you really feel?
They would. I mean, then you would say they're a 9, right? Not a 10.
Maybe like a 9.5, maybe a
Yeah.
9.8.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
fine. Okay, Green has made his point clear. Mendacii, they're a 10, but
I'll shovel coal in the algorithm machine, but they always throw the penguin off the top of the ice cap in the snowy level in Mario 64, which is universally known and seen as a not so cash money move.
okay,
There you go.
there you go. I got
Video
one.
games.
They're a 10, but they think there's only 151 Pokemon.
Damn,
That,
also on
that,
topic.
that sounds like they're a 10 to me, to be honest. I'd befriend that person.
Of course you would.
Oh yeah.
Guys, go on ahead, let us know your answer to that in the YouTube comments or on Twitter. Greenlee, hit him with the Twitter.
At Next to Nothing PC, of course.
And the Facebook?
Next to Nothing.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
You should know this by now, Danny. Come on now.
I know, but I like asking you. You say it's so good.
Stop.
You say it's so good, Daddy. Anyways, Mendacii,
Oh, hi.
tell us all about Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the demo.
Yeah, I would love to go ahead and get on the Argosy and sail away from all of this, whatever that was. So, for any of the uninitiated, Monster Hunter Rise is the newest title in the Monster Hunter series. Originally came out on Switch, but it's also available on Steam. And so I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the Steam version of this too, since it was also my first time playing that. So, the demo itself was pretty standard fare for previous Monster Hunter demos. It shows off some of the new tech, like new moves, new styles, stuff like that. And then, of course, you have a couple new monsters to fight. And then some returning favorites. They had the Tetranodon, the Agnosum, just like a couple like lower rank monsters that you could kind of just go in and test out some moves. But they also had two of them in there for more veteran hunters to see about testing their mettle against the newer, more hardier foes of the upcoming game. This gives you like an ample amount of time as well in these hunts, other than the top tier, which I'll talk about a little bit. A standard hunt is roughly 50 minutes. So you've got a little clock in the top left, runs down, gives you a lot of time to go and scope out the environment, pick up any other sorts of consumables or utility items, things like that from the endemic life around the map. It also allows you a lot of time to try out the new moves, which is, kind of like the whole reason why we're here. The premise of Monster Hunter Rise is that we have styles, and we also have like the wire bug move sets, which before this demo and before this expansion came out, you would go and equip these much like you would any other piece of equipment, and then that would be your new move set going in. The Sunbreak demo allows you to test out this new kind of tech that they've brought in and been showing in a lot of their little blurbs throughout the month. You can switch your style on the fly, so you get the full range of your move set in one hunt without having to take a break and go and change anything out or leave a hunt because it's just not working out for you. It's pretty awesome. And some of the new moves in these new styles are absolutely just game changing. Others, not so much. Monster Hunter has always had this sort of contentious battle between the weapons, not necessarily for um, good reasons. A lot of it is gatekeepy, which is too bad. But um, there's also not as much love for each individual weapon coming from the developers. And again, if you're not familiar with this, every single weapon in Monster Hunter allows you to play the game in a completely different fashion. Sure, the game kind of relatively follows the same formula. You go in, you hunt down a monster. If you need to get any help from the map or your friends, you kind of work together to get that, and then you go in, you fight the monster. But how you fight the monster is the meat of the game. Essentially, every mission is almost like a boss rush in which you're having to remember the move sets of the individual monsters you're fighting and mastering your own move set, which can get pretty crazy when you go ahead and try out all these new weapons. So, being that that is the meat, Sunbreak focused almost solely on that, as well as adding some other content as well. But when you add new move sets or ability to switch between move sets for each weapon, you kind of bring an entirely new breath of life into the game and its entire rotation. So this whole demo had a heavier focus on allowing you to try most things, but not necessarily feel like a badass. These are mainly pre-picked loadouts in most of the demos that Monster Hunter has always been putting out since really getting serious about this game back when Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate dropped on the 3DS about 2 millennia ago. So really you don't get to play around and like be like, oh, I want to, do this with this or use this weapon in this armor set and maybe this move set, yada yada. These are predetermined, and it doesn't always necessarily feel like it gels super well, but it's not necessarily supposed to make you feel like the meta or at the best at which you can get to. It gives you an idea. And I think that's actually both great and also kind of because when you've played this game for hundreds of hours, you get a certain feel for how things should work and how much damage you should be putting out. So when you have to pick this pre-picked loadout and it's just not quite optimal, you kind of have this like lackluster feel, but there's supposed to be this wanderlust that sparks in your brain of like, but where could it go? What else have they added? So it's kind of standard fare, more or less. And you do get to see a couple of the new armor sets, including this Regio set, which was on the Sword and Shield, which was super fun. Um, the other kind of armors and stuff like that, they didn't necessarily like with some classes they kind of decided to use what was already in the game before this demo. And really, there wasn't much there other than, hey, you can try out the new weapon attacks and you can attempt to fight the returning monster Astalos, which hasn't been around for quite some time, and then being able to take on the new monster, which is supposed to be our new antagonist monster, the Elder Dragon Malzeno. And woof. Those are interesting fights. Absolutely. So that being said, experiencing those fights, especially for my first time playing on PC, it was insane. It was mind melting. The controls flow really naturally, and it was incredibly easy to grab and pick up from playing on Switch. It's like the buttons just made sense because they were exactly mapped as if I was using my Pro controller. So it's just like I was doing things subconsciously, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm holding an Xbox One X Pro controller or whatever the hell. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But that being said, like if you've put a couple hundred or so hours into Monster Hunter Rise on Switch like myself, I wouldn't necessarily recommend moving over unless playing on Steam and with better quality graphics is the end all be all for you. Because that's really what this is. It is gorgeous. It's not Monster Hunter World gorgeous, but it is very pretty. The game natively on low settings runs at 1080p, 30 frames per second, and you can actually increase the frame rate cap. There's also an option to kind of swap your VSync control. It's it can look very nice, but the other thing that it can also do, especially if you're a veteran player, is it will actually it's like your button timing will be a little off because of the delay that you would have on the Switch. And there are some people saying that it doesn't exist. I've also seen veteran players that are like, I'm hunter rank 600 or whatever the hell, like you've put tireless amounts of hours into this, saying my rotations won't come through with my charge blade or da 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 when I'm playing on Steam. So it is something that you would have to get used to. Keep in mind too that Monster Hunter team has kind of come out and said, hey, we don't really have any plans in the future to allow you to, say, upload your data from the Switch over to Steam. And we don't have any plans to kind of open up crossplay, which sucks because there is no PvP element in it at all. But I imagine that server things are kind of goofy with Monster Hunter. There's also not a lot of capital behind this team. Monster Hunter World was kind of this olive branch that Capcom gave to them, like, hey, see what you can do. And they pretty much just, with a weird ass engine, made a really beautiful game. Though it wasn't optimized at all and kind of felt clunky at times. Monster Hunter Rise is kind of like the perfect blend of both worlds while still remaining easy for your portable Switch to play. You do lose some of that definition. However, both versions are super fun, and if you haven't jumped into Monster Hunter yet, this is the perfect time to do so. And if you don't have a Switch and you don't plan on playing on Switch, and all of that nonsense that I said about having too many hours in to give up now and restart from scratch doesn't bother you, just go over to Steam because the game's on sale for 50% off at $30.59. That's only until the 23rd, though. And Sunbreak is releasing on June 30th, and that price will be $39.99. It boasts no less than 13 new monsters. Some are I wouldn't call them reskins. They are reimaginings of monsters that we have gotten in Rise, but they are their elements, their functions, their mechanics, everything like that, and likely their move sets, at least somewhat, have also been changed. There are also some that inflict status effects that we haven't seen for some time, others that aim to bring back nightmares from Monster Hunter World and beyond. We got to see some monsters that I gushed about actually in our showcase episode. But real quick, the Gore Magala and the Shigaru Magala, which were the big antagonist monsters of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, are returning. It's not typical for a Monster Hunter game to ever bring an antagonist monster into the next game. So this is awesome. And it was a design, not just of the monster and how the fights work, but also of the armor and weapons that had the community just so up in arms about this kind of news. So it's every time a new Monster Hunter game or expansion comes out, it's the best time in the world to be a Monster Hunter fan because this team never stops giving. Um, excuse me. We also get a new ceiling for our hunter rank, which will go to master, much like it did in Monster Hunter World. And this, of course, comes with new challenges, new story to play through, new armors and weapon upgrades. The upgrade trees, I'm sure we'll get little shortcuts in there so you don't have to build all the way up from, like baby's first sword and shield. You could skip a ways in there if you had already kind of pushed through a lot of the trees. And of course, if this ends up being anywhere as sizable as Monster Hunter World's expansion, Iceborne, we could see a potential of at least another 100 hours of hunts, challenges, and events, with, of course, free additional kind of add-ons to the expansion, which will add new ceilings, new incredible hunts, as well as quality of life changes, technical changes. this game will be a completely different one, say in a year from now. And that's just exciting because you probably bought the game, whether it was at full price of $59.99 or right now at half off, and then you paid for Sunbreak. You've effectively got at least 200, 300 hours of gameplay that, if you like this kind of rotation, you've got friends to play with, it will, continue to satisfy you and entertain you for years to come. So if you're looking to buy this on Steam, the minimum requirements are as follows. You need a 64-bit processor and operating system, so like a Windows 10 64-bit. You need an Intel Core i3 4130 or Core i5 3470 or an AMD FX 6100, 8 gigs of RAM. You need an NVIDIA GeForce GT 1030 DDR4 or AMD Radeon RX 550, a version 12 of DirectX, and of course a broadband internet connection if you want to go and do most of the game. There's a solo section of the game where you can do all the solo missions, and then there will be multiplayer missions, which of course you can actually play those solo as well if you're a bad bitch. Or you just don't have friends and you got really good at the game because you don't have any friends. I'm sorry. Anyway, you also need 36 gigs of storage space. And just kind of keep in mind that if you are going to be playing on Steam, you can always swap and kind of mess around a little bit with your graphics settings. It was pretty involved, pretty intuitive. I was really surprised at seeing the amount of options that you had for your display and for the game's overall performance for something that natively came out on Nintendo Switch. I just really wish that we could potentially see something like the allowing of people to play across PC and Switch or swap their account information between platforms. But yeah, overall, it was a fantastic demo. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I've had it pre-ordered for a long time. I'm going to continue to play on Switch and continue to stream Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on Saturdays. So there will be a nice long marathon stream the Friday. So the day after it comes out, which would be July 1st. So I'm a working boy, okay? So anyway, join me for that. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I think you answered basically any question I would have had.
Solid, dude. Solid.
Try to shoot for that every time.
I'm excited for you.
Thanks, man. I'm so incredibly excited. I love this series. I have, oh man, I don't know, maybe close to like 2,000 hours in the series as a whole across all the games. So just to see something like this is it's phenomenal. And I can't imagine exactly what we're going to get. I think that they have been, they showed us so much, and I still think that it might just be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So
So
always a good time to be a fan.
I only have one thought here, and it's more just like something to offer you as an idea here.
Yeah.
Can you do an ASMR video where you're just saying the names of monsters?
Oh man. Yeah, I probably could.
Yeah.
Rathalos, Rathian, Azure Rathalos, Pink Rathian. Yeah, we'll do it.
my scalp is already tingling.
Ooh. It's like an ear massage with your words.
Yeah. That's gonna be a thing, and we'll get you one of those ear mics that you can lick too.
Ew, no, icky, no.
But I played a demo too.
Ooh.
Yes, and this Mendacii, I feel like you might appreciate this one just for the fact that you, like me, are a fan of last podcast
Ookie and the spooky.
the Ookie and the Spookily and the aliens. But I had a chance to play They Are Here. They Are Here? They Are Here.
They're there.
Where are they?
Aquí.
Where?
In your pants. They Are Here is a first-person horror experience by Declazon. That
Okay.
takes, yeah, I believe I said that right. Declazon, Deklazon, Declazon. It sounds like a dinosaur. And it takes you through an alien abduction, and the demo is available on Steam to check out. The game has not been released yet. The game requires a 64-bit processor and operating system, Windows 7 or newer. For processor, you're looking at wanting an Intel Core i3-2500 or an AMD Phenom 2 1055T. You'll also want a GeForce GTX 660 or an AMD HD 7850. You'll need 4 gigs of RAM, and so far there's no storage requirements for the game, which makes me which gives me some concern in, because I don't know how big it's going to be. It is the game it takes you through. You assume the role of a local reporter investigating the claims of UFOs and alien sightings at the local Grayswood farm, very aptly named, I should say, which is owned and operated by the Sherman family. And you kind of like go through and like find notes and stuff like that about like what's been happening to the Sherman family, and kind of experience it for yourself. The demo doesn't really offer a ton in terms of gameplay. Rather, it was setting up the scenery and the story for the wider game. I don't if the demo is a reflection of the final gameplay, this might not be much of a game as much as it might just be an experience. Because there weren't any puzzles. There wasn't like a sneaking system, right? You weren't trying to sneak past aliens or anything like that. You were just finding notes. And there wasn't any like combat to take part in, right? Like you weren't like fighting aliens. You weren't getting into fist fights with greys or shooting at reptilians, right? You were just going around and reading notes.
Slender Man.
Well, not even that, because this didn't really have a fail state.
Oh,
right?
So you didn't even get chased? It was just like, ooh, this spooky.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So with that in mind, for what it is, right? The game sets up a very creepy atmosphere. The aesthetics of it, everything is kind of bathed in dim lights, cool colors. It's at night, the night sky. The only thing that's really, there are like these unfeeling cold lights from above. The sound design of the game does work out pretty well as well. Does work pretty well as as a part of the experience. It doesn't take you out at all. Like you kind of sit there and you feel like you are in the environment, but it doesn't do much else in terms of like being spectacular. One thing like with games like this that I always like tend to notice is if a sound asset is stuck, right? Like if it doesn't feel like it's in the room, if a door shuts and it doesn't sound like it like existed in that room, instead it sounds like it's overlaid, or like if a child's laughter is very clearly from freesounds.com, it like sounds like it was recorded in like a totally different space with a different microphone, stuff like that. There's nothing like that. The sound was done pretty well. Again, graphics were great, the aesthetics were great, everything was put together well. There was one thing where I was kind of going through it and I'm like, the layout of the house didn't feel like the layout of any home that anyone would actually live in. Like there was just like weird like, why is it set up this way? Why is there a fire extinguisher like in the middle of the like floor, right? If people have fire extinguishers in their home, they're usually like under a cabinet or like on the wall.
That almost sounds like it was on purpose, like that refrigerator in the hallway, just taking up the hallway.
Yeah. Like
It's
it's
like an alien saw a human home and they're like, here is human home. Feel at home in environment. It's like when we put a frog in a jar with like sticks and leaves. Yeah, that was that house, I think.
Okay, yeah, you know what? If that's the reason that they can give, that's a pretty good reason. Um,
Plausible.
but yeah, the demo overall, it's pretty good. It was fun. It was incredibly short. Like my video that's up on YouTube is 12 minutes. I think it probably wouldn't be any longer than 30 minutes for anyone else to really play. Um I, it doesn't really have gameplay, right? Like um it doesn't have puzzles. It doesn't have a fail state. It doesn't have combat. It doesn't have any like no sneaking system, right? It's all just experiencing like the environment and the atmosphere. That's all it is. Um but I mean it is worth checking out, especially if you're, if you're looking to line up some games, kind of get your X-Files kick on, cuz it does feel like that one. I wrote this down, I think, but I didn't say it, but it does feel like the first like 15 minutes of an X-Files episode. Like they capture like that feeling of like, ooh, what's going on here? What are the aliens doing? Like it captures like that intrigue, of the first 15 minutes of any given like X-Files episode. So they do a good job in setting up the story. Hopefully they can execute on it well. But
Mm.
any thoughts, questions, opinions?
Dude, the aesthetic and like overall like quality of those assets was really awesome.
Yeah.
Like they looked really good. I imagine that if there was something else kind of going on, I really like where your video for the podcast ended. Like that was wild, just like the light shining down in the house and like everything vibrating. Like as far as an experience goes, like I guess that's kind of fun. Like is it a game? That's kind of a tenuous point, I think, at this juncture, as far as what everyone's kind of calling video games or what constitutes being a video game. But there are definitely controls, and you do walk around and interact with an environment. So overall, like it looked really pretty. It'd be really cool if there was a lot more substance to it. But yeah, I think that standing by your point that you made, check it out and just kind of like allow yourself to get immersed into it, I think would probably actually be pretty easy, considering the fact that it is pretty well put together. It looks like it just sucks that there's not like spooky gray man coming out and giving you the woo, or like, fucking posters on the walls saying like, "Do you believe?" Like, yeah, I want to believe. Take me away. So, but yeah, it looked fun. It looks like a good time. I hope that they continue to build on it. It's certainly a good foundation.
Do you believe in aliens, Agent Scully?
You ever heard of the knife alien? The what?
um yeah, one thing I was going to mention, it didn't feel like an asset flip. That was the other thing I was going to mention, right? Because a lot of games like this where it's like, okay, spooky horror game made with, I think it's made with Unreal or Unity, like how much of this did they just buy from the fucking Unity store and threw together? Like it didn't feel like that, which is nice too. If that's the
Mhm.
if it is in fact the case that it's just like an asset flip, like they just took everything and like threw shit together,
With like
um
a nice lighting mod or something like
uh-huh,
that.
then they fooled me. But it didn't feel like that. Green, it looked like you were about to say something.
Oh no, I wouldn't play it. Spooky.
I say, is it because it's spooky or is it because of
Okay.
aliens?
I don't really much mind aliens. It's just I've never been a horror fan. You know this.
How much to get you to play it?
Mm,
What's your by minute rate?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. We'll put a
um
pin on it.
That's true. We still need to play Outlast together sometime soon. So
You
Okay, that's
tricky
what it
bitch.
reminded me of. That whole like walking through the cornfield with the wooden fences on either side. I was like,
mhm.
oh, this is like straight out of Outlast 2 or like whatever the fuck they're calling it, Cult, I think it is.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, and then yeah, it was whatever. But the family photo on the fridge too. I was like, God, that looks so familiar. I swear that's in an actual horror movie, but
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything. So if you recognized it, please tell me in the comments because it's gonna keep me up at night.
Yeah, any other thoughts, questions, opinions on They Are Here? Or at least on the demo?
I hope they keep doing stuff with it.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what happens with it. Do you guys want to take a quick break and then talk about a little bit of
Yeah.
news?
Sure.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. Stay right there.
Hello, Danie is being lazy and has decided to have a text-to-speech robot record this message for you, instead of doing it himself. He wants you to know that you can help support the show by telling your friends. Telling your friends about the show helps us grow and help more people save money while gaming. It's also free. You can tweet about us, share us on Facebook, or even send a message directly to your friends and family with a link to the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, or leave a comment. That helps tell the algorithm that you like this kind of content and would recommend it. Thanks for watching and listening. The show will resume in just a few moments. PS Green Elite has bad taste in Pokemon.
And we're back. You guys can't stop us. You
Not
don't have the
even
power.
Government can.
You don't have enough badges to train me.
We are wild and cannot be contained.
I was gonna say we have a lower like center of gravity, so well, I mean, physics.
hmm Anyways, not a ton that we wanted to really get into for news this week, but there is something here that I feel like definitely applies to a lot of folks who would be listening, especially if they are PlayStation customers. So Sony is reportedly discontinuing the PlayStation Plus retail cards. According to some sources, Sony is going to be discontinuing the PS Plus retail cards from stores ahead of its revamp of the service this coming week. The cards, which gave access to the service for 1 month, 3 months, or 12-month periods, have already started to come off the shelves, and web listings for the new for the cards have also been removed, as the new model for the service will render the cards obsolete. So at least in the UK, cards have come off the shelves, or virtual shelves, I should say, off of Amazon, Game, Smiths, and Argos shelves. And probably will be doing the same thing in the United States. There hasn't been any announcements on if the retail cards will be coming back anytime soon for customers, and I haven't been able to find anything like what will happen to customers who haven't redeemed their cards. Or, if you bought a card, say, 2 weeks ago and just haven't redeemed it yet, what happens to you? I don't know. But so yeah, there aren't any announcements on if the retail cards will be coming back anytime soon for customers to purchase, and if so, how they'll be implemented into the service. So if you're someone who was kind of relying on that, you might want to find another method. You also might want to spend some time looking at their FAQ to figure out if something will change with the cards that you haven't redeemed yet. If you're going to get a credit, if you'll just get like a credit applied to your account or something like that. But so yeah, for now, you might just need to settle for getting a PlayStation Plus, or I'm sorry, PlayStation Store gift card for when you get, forget to grab your nephew a gift card or something, or get your nephew an actual gift 10 minutes before you get to his birthday party.
Yeah, you could text their parents and be like, what games are they playing right now? And the answer is probably going to be Fortnite. So like you
Just
could
get
just
them
get them
V-Bucks.
like Yeah, V-Bucks card
Yeah.
for that new Daniel costume.
Are they a hustler or a playboy kind of kid?
You'd show
Penthouse.
up smelling like Budweiser and fat old cigars. You know the kind of aunt or uncle or sibling to the parent you are. You're that one.
Yeah, no, I think the answer is penthouse.
For the articles, of course.
For the art. Just yeah. Um
Really? No hustler fans here? No hustlers?
but
I heard Playboy actually went like no actual like nudity.
yeah.
The only hustler I'm a fan of is 50 Cent.
Hey,
The only playboy I like is Cardi.
I was gonna say Tony Stark.
Oh my god. Bruce Wayne. Anyways,
Right,
any
of
thoughts
course.
on on this bit of news here?
no, I'm actually not surprised about this, especially since they could just like reformat and like do like where at the stores you're seeing the like PlayStation Plus and the
Mhm.
PlayStation Plus Pro,
Yeah.
like those tiered cards there. But then like how often do they actually like get those cards used? Like it's I think a mass majority of their customers that actually use the subscription usually just go through the online store.
Probably. Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be a massive hit like on Sony. And if they redo it, I don't think they're going to go super hard into it.
No. No. My only concern is really for the folks who like already have cards. Like they picked it up at Target or something like that like the other week and just never didn't have a chance to redeem it. And if that whole system shuts down in this
Yeah,
revamp, like hopefully those folks can just like get a credit, right? Like here's
absolutely.
$15. You spent, you know, $15 on the card. Here's $15 to your PlayStation Store account. Hopefully. Otherwise, yeah, I don't have much else to really say about it.
I have some select words.
All right.
You say them.
So I've got like a couple. So like this kind of wrapped up into like the initial first impressions that are kind of sweeping the internet as far as how people are taking to the new PS Plus, which has been lackluster at best. This is not at all the news that Sony really needs to give. A lot of fans out there, even die-hard Sony fans, of which reading those tweets is always just like cotton candy for me. They just melt in your mouth, and before you know it, it's gone because there's no substance to it at all. The blindness here is that you have a three-tiered system, which you have, like your essential, your extra, and your premium. Essential leaves you with the ability to play your games online and whatever. And I think maybe get some of the deals and stuff like that they have on the PlayStation Store that are exclusive to PS Plus members. Whereas the extra allows you the quote unquote access to AAA titles, something that they hadn't really said. Like they just kind of left it kind of like um, analogous. It's just like it's AAA titles. Like, okay, which ones? And they're like, like, okay. So it's been just like older PS4 titles that they've actually offered people. Stuff that has like that you could literally go into pretty much any other like video game retailer and purchase used for somewhere between $10 and $20, which is cool. I mean, yeah, you get to play that and not spend $10 or $20 on a title, but that's not really what your competitor is doing. And with uh, the premium, I guess it's called extra premium, whatever. Premium is the one that allows you to play these retro games. Now, some of them you actually get to download, others you get to stream. Those of you familiar with PS Now know that the streaming service for PS Now was dog shit, and it has apparently somewhat improved, but I've seen some really conflicting views on that, whether it's just the same pile of dog dookie, and some say like it's still fine. Um, yeah, it's just a shit show. So a lot of people are saying like, why would you make 3 tiers when you could just go essential, let me play online with my friends, and then allow me to purchase premium and, like to cut down the price a little bit and let me have everything. So it's one of those things, man, where I think that they built a giant sandwich that they absolutely could not eat, and everyone's choking on it, including Sony, because like this is stupid. This is just bad. Like, plain and simple, is just bad.
Yeah. See, it's kind of interesting that you have a little bit more thoughts on it because I was reading, I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks for most people, but
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
I didn't have, but as like not
you
a
just
Sony
wrap it.
customer. Yeah.
Right, yeah, you wrap it with everything else kind of coming out, and like just seeing like these I'm gonna call them Sony zealots. I see you all out there doing your self-flagellation for the big blue god. Um like even they are kind of tripping over this, like, yo, this is kind of fucky. Like, why have this middle tier when that middle tier is kind of garbage and was what I was already getting with my regular PS Plus before this bullshit? You're essentially just holding what they already had before, which was the PS Plus PS Now amalgam bundle that you could just do every month. And it sounds like the streaming service hasn't gotten much better, or in some people's eyes, not better at all. And then the titles that they're offering are like kind of fucking strange. Like, kind of going back to like thinking about Tekken 2. Like, you could buy Tekken 2, which was on sale on the Sony PlayStation market for $10,000 for the digital copy, which most people would say if it was Tekken 3, might be worth it. Tekken 2, not so much. But yeah, it's really weird. This is kind of what the three of us already said that we thought was going to happen. We kind of saw this kind of spiraling. And what do you know? We were right.
Yeah. Green, any other thoughts that you'd like to share?
Oh, that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say on it either.
Big ol' womp womp.
Womp womp. And we're gonna keep it kind of short this week. So let's go ahead and wrap up the show.
Splendid.
Green, what do you got going on?
Oh, well, I've got a few days of Hunt Showdown because I love Hunt Showdown, and I'm going to try to squeeze in some Star Citizen because I love Star Citizen. So that's pretty much it. Working on a few things, trying to get my 3D printer just perfectly mint. It did really well with this print until there was a clog, and my helmet is missing, like, I would say maybe a quarter of the top. So I'm like gonna try to finagle a way to get it to where I can just print that top piece and then weld it together with a soldering iron. Whole bunch of adventure this weekend. I got some parts coming in, so hopefully we'll get that done too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Catch me at twitch.tv/Mr. Green Elite. I'm also on the socials: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the fancy things at Mr. Green Elite. If you are on a social media and you search Mr. Green Elite, I'm probably on there. If I'm not, just at me on Twitter and be like, "Fish, you're not here. Why are you not here?" So that way I can be like, "I'll be on there shortly."
Excellent. Mendacii, what's coming up with you?
Oh, so Thursday, probably gonna play some Tales of Arise. That anime is getting intense, and I think we're about to pick up another party member. That game is super sick. So yeah, you should come and enjoy the weebness with all of us. It's been a great time. And then Friday, I might actually be playing some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new beat 'em up that came out. Yeah. Gonna try and play a little bit of that with Indy, maybe throw in a little Brent, maybe throw in a little Vic. We'll see what's up. we'll get down and dirty with it. And if that doesn't necessarily come to fruition, probably gonna go ahead and train a little bit more with Killer Instinct. Gotta brush that rust off my Glacius game. So yeah, if you want to see some sick combos, hear some great music, and generally watch me suck ass until I finally don't anymore, you can do that. And then Monster Hunter, as always, on Saturday with the community slot open. So if you're just getting into the game on Switch, I would be happy to play some hunts with you and generally just chat. Give you some tips, give you some hot one-liners that you can drop to all the hot hunterinos out there. But otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at only Mendacii. On Twitch, it's /Mendacii. So yeah, that's what we got.
Excellent. Excellent. Coming up with me, uh, my life is still like in chaos where I don't know anything that's happening. My internet is still giving me a lot of trouble. So stream wise, I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of a double edged sword because I can't really stream, but it's also forcing me to work on other projects. So that is kind of nice. So I'll probably be working on other stuff. If I stream, just follow me on Twitter. You'll see an announcement if I can stream or not. So yeah, otherwise I am going to be working on all sorts of other projects this week, including our D&D show, and I'm working on, if you guys are content creators or streamers yourselves, you'll be wanting to look at, watch out for this next project I'm working on right now that you might really enjoy. Otherwise, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Danie K, DANIECAE, and of course follow me on Twitch and check out my YouTube channels. There is the Next to Nothing podcast channel and the Danie K Streams and Highlights channel. Otherwise, I think that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Your time with us is always appreciated, but of course, we're not just interested in your attention and time. We are also interested in your thoughts and opinions on anything that we talked about today. But you can also answer the question of the week, which is, there are 10, but we're going to capitalize on that on this classic Twitter trend surfing tactic here. If you missed any part of the show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. Of course, you can find us on YouTube as well. If you want to catch us live, you can do that every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. If you like what we do and want to help support the show, drop a like or subscribe and ring that bell. That helps us out a ton with YouTube. And if you really want to take your support to the next level, the number one way to do that is by telling your friends. Really, that helps us out so much. If you want to be like up here, be like that top tier, tell your friends. That helps us out a lot. Retweeting is free. Otherwise, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting the good fights, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. Goodbye.
Happy hunting.
I love you.